tonight. RCMP identify the woman shot last week near Weyburn as her family appeals for answers. A research project uncovers dozens of interesting wildlife species living in Saskatchewan cities. And fresh faces fill the Swift Current Broncos roster as their season begins.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Tuesday, September 16th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. I'm Ethan Williams. Thank you for joining us. New details continue to emerge following last week's fatal shooting near Weyburn. RCMP have now identified the woman who was killed in that incident, and they say a second vehicle was also hit by gunfire that night. Katie Swires has the latest.
RCMP say 44-year-old Tanya Mayers was the woman shot and killed while riding in an SUV near Weyburn last Friday evening. Her family says she was an amazing healer and animal lover with a fondness for cats. Myers and her friend were traveling this stretch of Highway 39 near the city when a bullet hit their SUV. Now, police say their vehicle wasn't the only one hit by gunfire.
This isn't two separate incidents based on the new information that we provided. It's one incident. We can verify that the two vehicles were traveling in close proximity to them.
RCMP say the driver of the second car heard two pops and thought it was rocks hitting their windshield, but they discovered a flat tire the next day. Police confirmed it was caused by gunshots. The shooting has unnerved many Weyburn residents.
She's just a young lady that was riding in a vehicle and something horrible happened to her. So, yeah, it's just hard to believe.
We know these families and we feel for them, and we are all trying to understand what happened, and having these unknowns makes it even harder.
Police stress that the investigation is still ongoing.
It's not necessarily random, and although we don't necessarily think it's targeted either, it could be accidental. It could be, maybe an overshot of somebody shooting at something like a target, an animal, something like that.
Police are asking anyone with information or footage of the shooting to contact them. Mayor's family also has a request. If you were involved, take responsibility for your actions, as Tanya deserves justice. Katie Swires, CBC News, Weyburn.
Premier Scott Moe is in Ottawa to meet with the Prime Minister and canola industry leaders. And Moe says the meeting was informative. They discussed trade disputes and China's canola tariffs. Those are widely seen as a response to Canada's 100% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles. Moe spoke to reporters after the meeting and was asked if he wants Ottawa to remove the tariff on Chinese EVs. He says it's not as simple as that, but it is important the feds find a solution that works for all of Canada.
Here's the dance that I think all countries are finding themselves in, and it's a sensitive and it's a delicate dance. Decisions that you make here will have an indirect impact on your relationship with another country.
Moe says the province is focused on increasing market access and not on counter tariffs. Ahead of the meeting, Carney thanked Moe for his work in trying to help end Canada's trade disputes. A new report shows Saskatchewan is still leading the nation in rent increases, and the opposition NDP is renewing calls for rent control. A report from rentals.ca says the asking rent for apartments across the country has declined nationally for almost a year now, but not here. Saskatchewan led the nation last month with a 3.2% year-over-year increase. That raised the average to about $1,300, still about $750 below the national average. The NDP cited the report at a news conference Tuesday in Regina.
Rent control does not mean that landlords can never increase rent, because I think that's the first misconception about rent control. What it does mean is that rent can be stabilized so that tenants aren't suddenly being told their rent's going up 12% this year or 30% this year.
Chief Caff says the NDP is still collecting public input ahead of introducing rent control legislation this fall. The province has previously said rent control will lead to fewer new builds. Well, that big rainstorm in Regina last week has had effects on people who live along the Qu'Appelle River. It comes after the city had to get rid of excess sewage. Ashwarya Duda has that story.
Regina's big rainfall over the weekend has prompted water quality testing in Wascana Creek and into the Qu'Appelle River. The city got up to 70 millimeters on Friday and another 40 to 50 millimeters on Saturday. That rainfall overwhelmed the wastewater system, forcing a sewage bypass. The Garnet Street lift station discharged roughly 1.3 million liters into Wascana Creek.
We take this situation very seriously, and the City of Regina cares about the residents and the environment and is investing in our infrastructure to reduce the possibility of these events from occurring in the future.
The discharge isn't expected to reach the Qu'Appelle River for about a week. The Calling Lake Eco Museum is one community group downstream that finds it alarming any time sewage is released.
And we know what sewage looks like going down our lakes. And we don't really like that, to have to look at that. And really what happens with a storm event like this is you have two choices. You either back up people's basements or you pollute downstream. So there's nobody wins in that scenario.
Water quality test results will be posted in the coming days on the city's open data site.
We are very, very grateful to the City of Regina because they now have a communication system where they let us know what has happened. And that was one of our first challenges in 2014, is we would read about it in the paper. And it was just a gut punch.
But McPherson says long-term solutions are still needed. She says the city needs to take a hard look and ask themselves if the infrastructure they've invested so much money into is really working. Meanwhile, in Saskatoon, residents hit by flooding last month are getting some financial relief. The province has approved the city's application for disaster assistance. That means residents who sustained property damage in the storm on August 8th can now apply for financial help. Applications must be submitted to the province by February 8th. Ashwarya Duda, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Well, you may remember the bear that stumbled through the streets of Regina earlier this year, or the moose that crashed through a window of a Saskatoon elementary school. Well, now research shows Regina and Saskatoon are home to a growing number of wildlife species, and it's bringing to light how people and wildlife coexist. As one study shows, climate change could drive more and more animals into our cities.
The camera takes 3 pictures at a time, so you often get a series of the animal walking past.
Ryan Fisher's message to wildlife? Smile, you're on camera. He's capturing wildlife photos around Regina as part of a research project. So far, he's found the usual suspects like deer, picking up the odd beaver, and some more unique finds like these gray partridges. In all, documenting more than 100 species of birds and 15 species of mammals. The project's goal is to find out how urbanization affects wildlife. So far, it appears they're well adjusted.
Especially in Regina, our situation is a little bit unique in that we have a lot of green space for a city of our size. I think we've done a really good job as a city to maintain a lot of that green space for wildlife here.
And among the species using those spaces are moose. Katie Harris says the number of moose in Saskatoon is on the rise. She recorded just 8 in her study's first year. That jumped to 29 in the third. She thinks green spaces are behind the increase.
We put fertilizer, we water, we do all sorts of things to our spaces in cities that you wouldn't see typically outside of a city in a natural area, and so that is a big attractant for wildlife, not just moose, but all sorts of species, right?
And with climate change, even more wildlife may move into urban areas. Major prairie cities could see more than 100 new species by the year 2100, according to one study's author.
There's a particular, what we call niche of variables that is where the animal can live. So if that niche changes as a result of climate change, which we're expecting, and which has actually already begun, we would expect that the animal to move as well.
Filizzola says cities are typically warmer and wetter, allowing cold-sensitive animals to move in. He says we're already seeing that trend with ticks, and it could also mean reptiles like turtles become more common. Back in Regina, Jordan Rustad says the museum's research will inform her role with bird-friendly Regina, as the diverse species of birds who live in Wascana Park are threatened by free-roaming felines.
There's an estimated 2.4 billion birds taken by cats every year in North America. And something that we can do that's really simple is keep our cats indoors or bring them out on leashes or have them out for supervised time.
In the meantime, the research continues. There's still lots of wildlife waiting to have their photos taken. While the leaves have reached the point now where they're not just turning colors, they are starting to fall to the ground from the trees. A sure sign fall is officially on its way, arriving in less than a week from now, if you can believe it. But weather specialist Riley Laychuk says it won't necessarily feel like fall in the coming week. He'll have all the details in his forecast after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Junior hockey season is here, with the Saskatchewan Western Hockey League teams kicking off their seasons on Friday. And for the Swift Current Broncos, rebuilding might be a term that they're avoiding, but there are plenty of new faces on and off the ice. Dan Plaster has more.
It will be a season of change for the Swift Current Broncos. After making the playoffs last season and getting knocked out in the first round, the club decided to make a change on the bench. Enter Dean De Silva. The longtime assistant coach with the Everett Silvertips will be leading his first ever WHL club.
I spoke to a number of other teams, but I kept coming back here. And we're from a small town in Ontario, is where my family is, so this is actually a big town for me. So, we feel very, very comfortable here, and what the organization is, where they are within their rebuild.
After winning the Central Division title 2 years ago, the Broncos have undergone an overtuned lineup. This season is full of young players looking to make an impact.
We were coming through, and our plan this year was kind of, okay, we've got some really good 2009, 2010 draft picks. Let's build for that foundation. Let's get the players here, a little bit younger roster, where we can have them all grow together.
When guys say we're rebuilding, I don't totally agree with that. I feel like we're going to be good as a team. We're going to be a really hard-working team.
One of the building blocks will be the Broncos' defense. Pittsburgh Penguins second-round pick Peyton Kettles is entering his third full season with the Broncos, and the 18-year-old has already taken the lead in training camp.
Yeah, it's definitely different. Kind of not having to do rookie camp and all that kind of stuff is definitely different. Kind of standing on the bench for rookie camp is definitely cool to kind of mentor those young guys.
Training camp and the beginning of the WHL regular season will be a very important part of the Broncos' growth. With such a young roster, a lot of pressure will be put on the likes of Kettles and a few other older players in the team. De Silva says patience and leadership will be key.
We only have a couple of 19-year-olds in the lineup, so we're going to be looking at our 20s and our 19-year-olds, so the Trey Wilkies, the Willie Morans, and those such players, to really kind of set the tone for our guys on how we want to play, the things that we want to do.
The Broncos open their season September 19th at home against the Regina Pats. Dan Plaster, CBC News, Swift Current.
Well, it sure would be nice if every day during the fall was like the conditions that we saw on Tuesday across the province, especially in Regina, where we're still over 20 degrees during the supper hour here. And weather specialist Riley Laychuk says there's likely more of this warm weather in store. He joins us now. Hi, Riley.
Well, thank you, Ethan. I thought I'd start big picture tonight because there's a little bit to see in terms of our upper level air. Look at our daytime temperatures across the country. 24 in Winnipeg, 23 to 25 across southern parts of the province, and around the 24-degree mark into parts of Alberta, and some considerable heat to the east again. Minneapolis at 33 in the mid to high 20s through much of eastern Canada as well. So you can see this defined ridge in the jet stream over the west western prairie provinces, a bit of a trough over northern Saskatchewan, down through central Manitoba, then another ridge to the east of us here. And what that is doing is a couple of things. First off, elevating our temperatures, but also introducing a bit of subtropical air into the southern prairies. So maybe that's why it's felt slightly more sticky over the last couple of days, because we're under the influence of some of that more tropical air from the southern states. But boy, oh boy, what a difference from north to south throughout the afternoon hours. La Ronge, Buffalo Narrows, 18 degrees, 16 in Collins Bay, but still 24s and 25s through south and central throughout the afternoon hours. These temperatures again running now some 5, 6, 7 degrees above seasonal for this time of the year. We are looking at things returning back towards seasonal. It will take a couple of days for us to get there, but that change is coming. Okay, mix of sun and clouds across much of the province today, where we are under a bit of that ridging here into south and central parts. A sunnier sky today. Bit of cloud cover in the southeast still remaining from that system that pushed through yesterday, and a bit of cloud cover into parts of the north as well. So high pressure really helping at the surface to clear us out at least. Trying in some capacity, doing more of a job into Wednesday as we get into western parts of the province, but still under the influence of that low now off over Hudson Bay, which is allowing a bit of extra cloud cover into northern parts of the province through Wednesday. Out of some of this, maybe a few scattered showers, so generally looking at a mix of sun and clouds Wednesday through Thursday, and another area of low pressure south of the border, potentially introducing a bit of cloud cover as we head Thursday into Friday. Maybe some showers, particularly the further south and east you are in the province as we head through the next couple of days here. What this translates to in terms of accumulation-wise, a bit of a mixed bag. The greatest chance of seeing some of this rainfall along the international border as we head overnight Thursday into Friday morning, 5 to 10 millimeters. Don't think that's totally out of the question, but certainly looking at pretty scattered in nature. Okay, with some of that extra humidity, some of that extra moisture, do expect overnight into Wednesday morning the potential for some fog once again. So this is the forecast modeling early Wednesday morning, down to 900-meter visibility in Saskatoon. 1 kilometer in Moosomin into the 4 or 5 kilometer into the parkland. So just know that into the morning hours we could get into some patchy fog first thing, particularly along Highway 16 and toward the Manitoba border as well. Overnight temperatures 8 to 10 degrees through Regina, Saskatoon. Maybe a few showers in Moosomin and Estevan, still 11s overnight. And then temperatures, Ethan, closer to seasonal through Wednesday, 20s, a mix of sun and clouds through much of the province.
Yeah, nice, comfortable day. Thank you, Riley. Well, a Halifax woman has become a social media sensation and now an author, all because of bird calls. Now, she doesn't make them. Her talent is identifying birdsong in a most unique way. Molly McNaughton has that story.
Have you ever come across a birdsong that sounds like the theme to The Price is Right? Or maybe it sounds like a doorstop. Becca Rowland, known as the girl in white glasses on TikTok, stumbled into a huge online following, all because she wanted to impress her mom, who loves cardinals.
One day a bird was singing in a tree and she knew immediately, that's a cardinal! And she spun around, just like hearing a sound like that. And I realized watching her, I didn't know what a cardinal sounded like. So I wanted to learn that sound so I could tell my mother that I heard her favorite bird. And then it just sort of exploded from that.
She began posting on Instagram, with her first video gaining 100,000 views. By the third, she reached 1 million. After moving to TikTok, it blew up so much that Story Publishing reached out to Rowland to write a book.
I didn't know people on the internet could be so lovely. They've been so kind and nice and funny, and I've had such amazing conversations. Quite a few people saying that I've solved a mystery for them. There's a sound of a bird at their grandma's house when they were a kid, and they could never figure out what bird it was. And when I play the video, they're like, that's it, that's the bird that I remember from my childhood.
Rowland says now, all kinds of people send her bird videos from their backyard asking for identification. It's something she finds happiness in. And Rowland says she wants people to feel joy while identifying birds.
It's not that what I'm saying is the sound is the definitive sound. It's just a way of framing the sound so that you remember it, so then you know what that bird is. The common eider is a duck that sounds like it's enjoying the fireworks, so it makes like ooh, ah noises, which is really adorable coming from this big fluffy white duck.
Rowland hopes that her videos and book will inspire people to be a little more cognizant of our world's beautiful feathered friends. Molly McNaughton, CBC News, Halifax.
Well, this happened in Mexico City last week. A sinkhole opened up under this soda delivery truck, and as residents watched, the truck's own weight caused it to sink further in. Local officials say no one was injured. They say initial reports suggest a very old underground drainage system may have collapsed. Stay with us. We're back after the break. Canada has back-to-back gold medals in the hammer throw at the World Athletic Championships in Tokyo.
With 84 metres and 70, this is round 6, the throw of honour. He's really caught this one as well, and it's back towards his championship record mark. But it is Katzberg back-to-back, the cast iron king of the hammer.
Ethan Katzberg has won the men's event. You are looking at his final throw and celebration. He set a championship record on his second attempt with a throw of 84.7 meters. Canada is proving to be a hammer throw powerhouse. Cameron Rogers won gold in the women's hammer throw final on Monday.
Okay, looking at your long-range forecast now. Temperatures the next few days slightly closer to seasonal, but then as you see in the 7-day, we're really looking at another push of some warm southerly air into parts of the province. So Regina into Wednesday, 21 degrees, slight chance of some showers out of some of that extra cloud cover through the day tomorrow. I mean slight. Some peaks of sunshine Thursday into Friday. More seasonal temperatures. Then look at what happens as we get through the weekend. 23s, 25s, mainly sunny skies. Bit windy into Monday, but look at this. 27 degrees, almost a full 10 degrees above seasonal by the time we get to next Tuesday once again. For Saskatoon, much the same. Temperatures, I mean, it's still a few degrees above seasonal for this time of the year, but a mix of sun and clouds Wednesday, Thursday. Bit of extra cloud cover into the mix as we head into the day on Friday, and temperatures staying above seasonal right through into the early part of next week as well. So a sunny weekend ahead, 24s and 25 Saturday, Sunday. Bit of wind, Ethan, as we get into Monday and Tuesday, and temperatures still staying very, very warm for this time of the year.
Okay, thanks, Riley. And before we leave you, legendary American actor and director Robert Redford has died. His publicist confirms he passed away at his home in Utah.
Mr. and Mrs. Bratter.
How long will you be staying with us, Mr. Bratter?
6 days.
And nights?
Redford will be remembered as one of the great leading men in Hollywood. He soared to stardom in the 70s in a string of classics, including Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Sting, and All the President's Men. Redford's directorial debut, Ordinary People, won him an Oscar in 1980. He founded the organization behind the annual Sundance Film Festival in Utah more than 40 years ago. For decades, Redford used his public profile to advocate for environmental issues. Robert Redford was 89. And that is our news for this Tuesday. For more news anytime, you can always head to our website or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. And you can download the CBC News app on your smartphone or tablet. Thanks for watching.